Dearest gentle reader, Lady Elise here, and I'd like to invite you to an enchanting evening of dances, gossip, and being a Simpson. Bridgerton is such a swoon fest. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. The speeches that they give, incomparable. Elise, you are the bane of my existence and the object of all my desires. Night and day, I dream of you. I will stand between the heavens and the earth and tell you where you are. Do you love me? I love you. From the moment I saw you trying to climb that wall. Her laughter brings me joy. To meet a beautiful woman is one thing, but to meet your best friend and the most beautiful woman is something entirely apart. I love Bridgerton for many reasons. For example, one of the reasons I love Bridgerton is the normalization of minority groups. If you're more plus size or if you're a person of color, it's not a big deal. It's not saying, oh, you're plus size, oh, you're a person of color. I mean, yeah, they explore race in Queen Charlotte and they offhandedly mention it in season 1 of Bridgerton. You're not just liking the characters and saying, like, they're a person of color, oh, they're gonna be oppressed, it's gonna be horrible. You see them as just normal people who get to experience love. Like, their trials and tribulations, it's because of them as characters, not just because of their race or because of their body size. And I just love how normally diverse Bridgerton is. It's just so refreshing. People who look like me falling in love on screen. It's so nice and wonderful. Also, I love how they brought back the romance genre. I know a lot of romance these days is very cheesy and cliche, and you could say that Bridgerton is cliche and cheesy, but when I tell you the lines and the speeches that these people give in this show is incomparable. They use classical versions of pop songs. Chef's freaking kiss. I never knew I needed that until Bridgerton, and I just love how magical it all feels. I know that it takes place in high society in a realistic setting, but it just feels so magical and whimsical, and I eat it up every single time. It's like you're watching a fantasy novel, but in real life. Like, I want to attend a little ball now. I want to have a little love story, and I will always love Bridgerton. I enjoyed season 1, but it got a little messy towards the end, and I enjoyed Queen Charlotte, but oh my god, it was so depressing. Literally every single character in that show, because we see them as adults later in season 1 and season 2 of Bridgerton, they all ended up sad. It was really depressing. Lady Danbury never found love. Violet has a dead husband. Queen Charlotte, all of her children don't like her. George, everyone thinks he's an incompetent king. Brimsley ends up alone. Who knows what happens to Reynolds? I left season 2 thinking, oh my gosh, wow, I see myself so much in Kate and Anthony. I hope that because they found happiness, maybe I'll find happiness too. This is so epic. And then Queen Charlotte, they said, oh, you're happy? No, babes, let me humble you, okay? Let me bring you down to earth. I was up in la la la, and then it grounded me. It brought me back to reality. I needed to be humbled. So I will stand between the heavens and earth and tell you where you are. Do you hear me? Thank you, Queen Charlotte, girl. I was so excited for season 3. I was waiting, okay? We waited 2 years for season 3, especially after I rewatched seasons 1 and season 2 where you had the Polin buildup. I already knew that it was gonna be a tough act to follow after Queen Charlotte and season 2, but I had hope, because if you could make bangers like what you've already produced, then why would it be any different? Why would season 3 be the weird anomaly where it's just not that good? Foreshadowing! I saw the interviews and the press conferences, the chemistry, it was there. I was excited. I was eating it up. So I said, oh, well, period. It's gonna translate so well onto screen because I already liked season 1 and season 2. So I said, okay, great. Season 3, let's get into it. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. I'm gonna cry. Ever since the trailer dropped, I have been in shambles, waiting for this exact moment to arrive. We have finally entered back into Bridgerton land. I'm so excited. Okay, what do I think is gonna happen? I think that Colin is gonna get a personality. He has no personality, okay? Head is empty, no thoughts, which honestly, I understand he's supposed to be lost in the sauce and stuff, but he has nothing going on here and here. He was a sweetie pie in season 1. Literally, Benedict, Gregory, Hyacinth. I don't know how to say her name. I'm so sorry. Every other Bridgerton has a personality except Colin, but he's gonna get a personality this season. He has a way with words. I know he's gonna give great speeches. I don't know if it's gonna be better than season 2. I think I'm gonna like it better than season 1 and Queen Charlotte, but I don't know if I'm gonna like season 3 more than season 2 because Anthony, whoa. Anthony Bridgerton and Kate Sharma, they are a tough act to follow. Oh my god, I thought of a really funny dad joke. Okay, I bet Anthony is going to hate Polin this season. Get it? Polin? Like bees, Penelope and Colin, and because Anthony, he has problems with bees because of Edmund. It was funnier in here, but I hope it gave you an awkward chuckle. I don't even know what to expect. I don't even know. I heard that the first part was gonna be friends, and then the second part was gonna be Lady Whistledown and lovers. So I'm asking, is there gonna be no lovers in part 1? I am so ready. Kate and Anthony are so cute. I don't know which Bridgerton brother I like the best, Benedict or Anthony. See, Anthony has my heart, okay? I think about that man all the time. I wish I had that man, but Benedict just seems my mind says Benedict, but my heart says Anthony, because sometimes Anthony was a douchebag in the show. Sometimes I gave him the side eye saying, what are you doing? You're really treating a woman like this? But then Benedict has never done anything to make me question him, to make me not like him. But he hasn't done anything so grand and so wonderful that I'm obsessed with him. When his season comes, count your days, Anthony. I'm gonna make the right choice. Kate and Anthony on screen, wow. I'm so glad that they're in this season. Dude, the way I was so shocked when I found out that Kate and Anthony were not gonna be in season 3, like throughout it. I knew they weren't gonna be main characters or anything, but I thought they were gonna be here and there like Daphne was. Girl, when they disappeared, I was shocked to my core. I thought they were coming back, and maybe they will come back in part 2, but I was not ready for it. I was waiting, looking at my screen, searching for Anthony and Kate, and then boom, they just went on their honeymoon, and then that was that. I felt like I was bamboozled. Colin, oh, Shonda Rhimes. She did her job. She turned that man into a man. I did not realize that that was gonna be how Colin was dressed the entire season. It's giving pirate cosplay, which I guess it makes sense because he's traveled to so many different places and that's how they dress overseas. It really is giving costume. I'll overlook it. Colin, ill. Why is he winking and letting all of this attention get to his head? Put that away. Are you telling me he came back from his travels and his voyages to have an ego? He better not. He better be the humble little sweetie pie he was in season 1, or I'm gonna... Ew. Okay, you're giving me the ick, Colin. Dude, when I said I wanted Colin to have a personality, I didn't mean him being obsessed with women's attention and him just mentioning his stupid travels. Colin is literally every single study abroad kid when they come back, or when someone goes backpacking around the world and they come back. I'm just so tired because I'm not used to these long flights, you know, because I lived in Europe and the flights are just so much shorter there. Did I tell you that I live in Europe? Yeah. Me and Ryan are like this. Oh my God, I forgot how big everything is in America. How am I supposed to finish this? You know, because I lived in Europe. Everyone does everything so much smaller. Oh my God. I'm so stuffed. Oh my God, thank you for the cracker. Oh my God, it's so sweet. Everything in America is so sweet. It's so different in Europe. Because I lived in Europe. I'm basically European. Oh, it's so sweet. Colin, oh, you want to be that guy? I can be that man. I also studied abroad, so. But y'all, the C in Colin stands for cringy, because this man was giving me the ick so badly when he was just putting on this performance. And I mean, I know that's the point, because he's putting on a performance. He's not being who he really is, aka the sweetie pie we fell in love with in season 1. But it was just a little too much, like with the bravos, with the way he was around women. Ew, 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 icky, icky. And now that would be fine, because obviously Simon and Anthony, they were both raking around the city too. But the difference is that because Colin doesn't know himself, he doesn't really have a personality going for him. And these are the only things we know about him, is that he is well-traveled and that he's a Bridgerton, and his interactions with women, then yeah, the interactions he has with women, they're gonna stand out more. Like, really? That's the plot that we had to go down? Like, we couldn't have done anything else? And I know a lot of people are making the argument saying, oh, well, if Colin seems boring or he seems like he doesn't know himself, that's the point. He's lost. He doesn't want to seem like the rest of his siblings, which I get it, but that doesn't mean the character has to have no personality. Like, there are so many compelling stories about characters who are lost, who don't know who they are, who don't want to be compared to their siblings. They want to make a name for themselves, and they are still so interesting to watch. So that is not an excuse to me to make Colin just a shell of who he was in season 1 and season 2. And even though he was a side character in those seasons, he was way more interesting. Even though he was still lost, he still didn't know who he was. Poor Penelope. Imagine you lose your best friend, and then the guy that you've been in love with basically your entire life, everyone wants him now. She thinks that she doesn't have a chance with him at all after what he said about her, and then now everyone wants him, and then she's falling out with Eloise, who Eloise, literally out of every single person you could have chosen to be friends, you're gonna choose Crescendo? You're gonna choose Cruella de Vil? You're gonna choose her? Okay, period. As in, stop this madness. You really couldn't find anyone else. And also Francesca's acting a little dodgy. I would love it if she was in love with a woman. I'm saying it right now. I'm just so confused how not a single Bridgerton child has not been into someone of the same gender. I'm a little confused. Like, Benedict is straight, okay. Francesca, like, they were talking about the men and stuff. They were going around talking about what they want in a man, and then they asked Francesca and they said, oh, what about you? And wouldn't it be a nice little subplot if she was in love with a woman? Bro, that would be amazing. Or maybe she's just nervous. Maybe that's it. But you know what would be a better plot? You know what would be so funny? If Colin didn't even travel. If he's lying this entire time, and that's why he's so obnoxious about it, because he didn't go anywhere. That would make perfect sense on why he's acting like this. He just went to a souvenir store. Penelope looks so good with her glow up. Oh my gosh, she's stunning. She's radiant. Oh my gosh, she looks so good. I'm so happy for her. She's beautiful. I hope she's the diamond of the season. She looks so good. god. Penelope was the best character in the entire season. The way she carried the season on her shoulders must be hurting. Penelope was the only character who was not one-dimensional. Every other character who was fleshed out previously in the other seasons, they became almost caricatures of themselves, and it was really weird because there were just so many different plots that were going on that it was hard for each character to feel developed instead of just a glimpse of who they were. I thought that when Penelope was glowed up and she decided to go after what she wants to get herself a man, that she was going to be the diamond of the season. Tell me why this woman gets bullied the entire season, okay? The entirety of part one, she is going home crying. I don't understand. I thought this was going to be where she is finally appreciated, but no, she is still continually put down, even by Eloise. Like, what are you doing? It was hard to watch. I was really rooting for her and she kept getting knocked down. Like, my queen, Penelope is the best character and this is what's happening. Hopefully in part two, more people see how awesome she is. I don't think that's really gonna happen. I think it's mainly gonna be like Eloise and Colin, but still, like, my girl, why are you doing that to her? I can't say that I'm a Colin fan necessarily. Every time he comes up on the screen, he's just an airhead. He's just being braggy. We need to start ramping it up, okay? Because Penelope, my girl, she is a queen. And how is she supposed to get with this mediocre fool? I know that Shonda's gonna pull through. Shonda is gonna pull through and make me love this man by the end of the season. I know it. I trust her, okay? But right now, it's very much trust the process. But Penelope looks so good. But she is awkward. The way she's acting is the way that I act around guys, okay? Whenever a guy flirts with me, it doesn't matter if I like him or not. I will react horribly. I will react awkwardly, and it just won't work out. And she is me, and I am her. The P in Penelope stands for period. Yes, Penelope, call out Colin for what he said. I'm so glad that she immediately said it up front and she didn't wait until, you know, episode 6 to say it. I'm so glad that they're clearing the air. Episode 1, let's get into the friends part of friends to lovers, because they're not even friends right now. Chop, 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 chop. Whatever. We're gonna get a sob story about her where we're supposed to like her by the end of it, saying, oh, she's just misunderstood. Redemption arc for Cressida. Redemption arc for Colin. Where he at though? What Lady Whistledown said about Colin, low-key facts, because who is Colin? What is he doing? Why is he? I don't even know how it's gonna go down once it is revealed that Penelope is Lady Whistledown. Oh my god, imagine if that was how episode 4 ended, like part 1 ended, with him finding out. The way I'm gonna have to throw my entire Netflix account away if they pull that stunt with me. I hate the lying trope in relationships, or like the faking trope. It stresses me out so much because I'm thinking to myself, oh my god, what's gonna happen when they find out? What's gonna happen? I know they'll end up together obviously because it's Bridgerton, but still. So my overall thoughts about episode 1 is that I liked it, but I wasn't obsessed with it. I wasn't pulled in. I wasn't intrigued. It was kind of just there. I didn't really care about Colin. I love Penelope. Obviously, Penelope, she's a queen. I support you no matter what, babe. And I was super excited to see Penelope's story unfold, see how she embraces herself, how she becomes more confident, and how she grows into a super confident person. I was so excited to see that storyline unfold. And I was really hoping Colin would have a personality. And I know a lot of people are saying, oh, well, he's not gonna have a personality because he doesn't know himself. Like I said before, that is not an excuse to make your character boring and have nothing going on for them. So many of us are lost in this world and we don't know who we are. And are we like Colin, just not saying anything? And I needed to see more of his side of his friendship with Penelope. I don't know. I feel like in season 1 and season 2, we felt their friendship. We felt their companionship. But in season 3, it was kind of a disconnect and I don't know what happened. A lot of these issues that I'm bringing up are going to be addressed in part 2. But my thing is that they should have just released it all at once so we wouldn't be feeling this way. Or they should have addressed the criticisms. They should have fledged him out and they should have not done as many plot points as they did. Some of these mistakes were easily correctable, or they could have just released it all at once. We shouldn't be left after part 1 wanting more and not being satisfied and not even caring about part 2. We should be excited to say, oh my gosh, I can't believe part 2 is gonna happen, da, 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 da. But no, it kind of just felt flat. And so I was kind of feeling that way after episode 1. I wasn't really feeling it, but I was super excited. I said, oh my gosh, like I know Shonda is gonna pull through. I know that the Bridgerton team, they're gonna pull through. By the end of part 1, I'm gonna be obsessed with this man. I'm gonna be obsessed with Polin. I am going to love it. That was how I felt after episode 1. So episode 2 of Bridgerton season 3, this is the episode where we're getting more overt scenes of where we're supposed to feel the love, the romance between Penelope and Colin. Colin is acting like the dollar store Anthony from season 1, except without any devotion and duty to his family. Where is the charm? He keeps saying that he is charming. He's charming all these women, but you know who he's not charming? Me. Where is the charm for me? I should be obsessed with you. I should be like, oh my god, Colin. I'm not kicking my feet. I am not giggling. I am not doing anything. I'm gonna be real with y'all. Okay, we're at 20 minutes into episode 2. This is hard to watch a little bit with them flirting because it's like two teenagers trying to flirt. I can't take Colin seriously. Penelope is saying these wonderful words. Oh, your eyes are the most magnificent shade of blue, but they're even more blue when you're kind. Wow. Yes, bae. Clearly, bae is a writer. And then you have Colin. She should have been with Benedict. I did not feel the chemistry between them whatsoever. It was just a lot of heavy breathing, a lot of drooling, which was kind of weird, to be honest. Because like I said before, season 1 and season 2, they had so much chemistry. It was amazing. And the actors and their press conference. So I don't know what happened in season 3. I think it was the script and it was the pacing, okay? Because I know what the actors can do with a different script, and I saw them, okay? I saw them with my own 2 eyes. That's why I was so excited about this season. Felt like we were on a roller coaster going up, 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 and then there was nothing. It was like, okay, get off the ride instead of a drop, instead of the excitement. There are just so many little moments where Colin and Penelope are supposed to have chemistry, and I just don't feel it. I don't feel the chemistry at all. And I guess maybe that's the point because they're supposed to be just friends, but there are clearly some moments where you're supposed to feel a few sparks between them. For example, when he hurt his hand and she pressed the bandage onto him, you're supposed to feel the tension when they're staring into each other's eyes, and I don't feel anything. The butterflies, they're skeletons in my stomach. You know, it's like that TikTok when that girl said, have you ever not been attracted to the male lead in a romance book? Yeah, that's how I feel about this book. And she was talking about a book, but I'm feeling it with Bridgerton. I am not into Colin. I don't like him. I don't care for him. Even his writing is beautiful, but it doesn't feel like it's Colin. I don't connect it to Colin. I'm not like, oh wow, Colin. Ooh, I'm what is it? Swaying? I'm swooning. No, I saw those words and thought, oh, those are beautiful words, but I didn't associate them with Colin. Because Colin to me is just a nothingness. This just has so much potential, and I'm sure they're gonna get there. For example, they're both writers, so obviously they should be giving the most amazing speeches ever. I mean, Penelope, she's doing her part. Don't get it twisted. I love my queen Penelope. She was carrying the show, because if she was not the main lead in this, I don't know how I'd be feeling about this season. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna hope it gets better. I'm sure it will get better, but I just need more to him. And where is Benedict? Benedict is not my bae this season. Where is he? Okay, I loved Benedict in the first 2 seasons, and then where is he now? Like, he's there, but I'm not getting anything. It's because they knew that if you had Benedict in the spotlight, he would clearly overshadow Colin. So they had to take away his screen time because they knew if we saw Benedict compared to Colin, we would be rooting for Benedict, not Colin. But I'm grateful that there's Kate and Anthony to bless my screen at least. Okay, I'm confused. I hate that I don't know her name. Will's wife. I thought they were married, but now I feel like she's gonna be the diamond of the season. But then, are they not married? I always assumed that they were married because he said, oh, I have to go to my wife, because they're in separate bedrooms. So are they not married, or are they married, but it's not taken seriously because they're not in high society, but now they are in high society? I'm assuming that she's gonna be the diamond of the season. If she's not, I'm gonna be shook to my core.
Editing me here, I'd like to explain myself. I forgot that the diamond of the season had to be of young age. That's why Penelope wasn't the diamond of the season. Obviously, the woman who's married with kids is not going to be the diamond of the season. I don't know. I think I just forgot about that, and I thought it was just kind of a popularity contest thing. Oh, who's the queen's favorite? I don't know where my head was at, but it was not in logistic land.
Portia's conversation with her kids about what they're trying to do to conceive an heir. Funniest part of the show so far. Cressida just called out, yes, we're gonna be using her government name now instead of the nicknames I've been giving her. Cressida has earned her place. Cressida, she just called out Eloise, okay? And it was amazing. I love it when the Bridgerton siblings get roasted and called out. She is so right. Eloise is on her little high horse, gossiping. Look in the looking glass, babe. I loved Eloise and Benedict in the first 2 seasons, but y'all, I did not like Eloise this season. She was a hypocrite. She was gossipy. I didn't like how they sacrificed her likability in order to give Cressida a redemption arc. And I loved Benedict, but why was the only thing going on for him is him sleeping with the innovator lady? And what's the excuse for these characters? Because they know themselves. Eloise is a feminist. She knows what she believes in. She believes that there's more to life than marriage and love. Benedict, he is lost, but he is an artist. He wants to find his way. He wants to understand who he is. Why are these characters who are supposedly not lost also giving off nothing? Ooh, Cressida 8 with that line. I'm liking. I don't know if I like her. Tell me why Cressida is more interesting than Colin. Oh, bro, not Penelope asking Bridgerton to kiss her. That is so funny. Not because of anything about her. She's a baddie, okay? Honestly, if she was not in the show, I don't know if we would have made it. It's just so goofy. She's saying, I could die tomorrow and I will never have been kissed. Please kiss me. What? And he's like, you're not gonna die tomorrow. Oh, I could die tomorrow. What is she saying? I understand why she feels this way, but it just seems so random. This just came out of the woodworks. I can't say I'm a fan, okay? I thought the first kiss was gonna be so much more than this. I thought it was gonna be a build up to it. I thought it was gonna be epic. At least in the other Bridgerton seasons, the first kiss, it meant something. It was, whoa, oh my gosh, they finally kissed. But here, I wasn't expecting this to happen. I wasn't like, oh my God, finally. It feels forced. Like, where was the build up? Where was the chemistry? Bridgerton, what's happening? You're my favorite show. Okay, alongside Heartstopper. I don't know what's happening this season. This connects to a bigger problem that I had with Colin, the whole going down the brothel line, is that I felt like the only reason that Colin started to like Penelope after their kiss is because he was sexually attracted to her, that he wanted something physical with her. It didn't feel like he wanted her for her soul, that he liked her because of who she was as a person. It felt like he was just kind of horny for her. Like even the dream that he has, it was steamy. And I know people are gonna say, well, you know, what type of dream did you expect him to have? Felt like he was lusting after her. It didn't feel like he was romantically interested in her. And I needed both, okay? I needed him to want just ravage her. But then I also needed the soulmate connection aspect to it, which I was kind of lacking and I just didn't get. But I know people are gonna argue, oh, well, that was the first 2 seasons, but you still need that season 3. We shouldn't be plateauing in season 3. We should keep going and building up, or else everything that happened in season 1 and season 2 was kind of for nothing if we're just gonna plateau. And they're the main couple in season 3. I was talking to someone about the show who didn't know anything about season 3, and they said, oh, like, where did Kate and Anthony go? Aren't they the main couple? They didn't even know that Polin was the main couple in the season because there's no scenes of Polin. Like, it's not obvious. They feel like side characters. I mean, not Penelope our queen, no, but Polin feels like a side story even though it's the main story. And people were saying, oh, well, Penelope's the main story. Yeah, but the main love story should still be center stage. Why are we getting all these other characters and knowing about them when we want to know about Penelope and Colin? I just want to see more scenes of them together, okay? Even if we still go the route of Colin being boring and stuff and he not knowing who he is, I want to see more screen time of them. We were robbed. We shouldn't act like it's a continuation of season 1 and season 2. And I know some people are saying, oh, well, part 2 will get more. We should have been getting more scenes of them together in part 1. I shouldn't have to wait until episode 5, 6, 7, 8, etc. to get a bunch of scenes of them together. And then realistically, they're probably going to be arguing because of the whole lady whistledown thing. It just doesn't feel like friends to lovers. It feels like one person had a friends to lovers and then boom, lovers all of a sudden. I knew that Cressida was going to have a redemption arc from being a former mean girl, but why did they have to do it at the expense of Eloise? Eloise was so smart, but now she's a hypocrite and she's gossiping, and they had to do that in order to make Cressida look like a good person. Why did they have to do that at Eloise's expense? Because I didn't really like Eloise this season. She's such an amazing character. I don't understand why we had to go down that route. Dude, I know that it's the trope, she falls first and he falls harder, but when she asked this man to kiss her and she was basically begging, that was so hard to watch. And then when she thanks him, girl, you better stand up. Like, I understand that it goes into her being super insecure and stuff. I understand why this is occurring on the screen, but did that mean I wanted to watch it? No. I feel like they could have gone a completely different route with their first kiss. Episode 2 was when I realized that I may just not be a Colin girly. I may not be attracted to this man. I don't mean the actor or anything. I mean Colin the character. I am just not interested in him. And even when he's saying these wonderful words, for example, in his journal entry that he wrote, I really like the words. Like, he's a good writer, obviously, but it didn't feel like they were Colin. And I'll talk about this later, but there are some scenes where he says something poetic, but it just doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel real. It just feels like he's saying lies. It's like when a teacher calls on someone and says, hey, who's gonna read out loud? And they choose him. It just doesn't feel like anything. I felt like the characters were depthless and they were surface level. And I know everyone's argument for why Colin is like that, but why are the other characters like that? Why is Eloise like that? Benedict, all of these other characters, why are they suddenly reduced to being surface level? They don't have enough time to keep pledging out these characters. They're doing too much, and they should have just stuck to a few plot lines this season instead of trying to give every single character who's ever graced the Bridgerton screen a plot. Like, I didn't really feel them being friends. I didn't feel that foundation of friendship. And I know people are gonna say, oh, well, it was all in season 1 and season 2, but I just didn't feel like that they were genuine friends. It felt like they were working in a group project where they liked each other, but they weren't gonna be, you know, hanging out with each other after the group project is done. Maybe they'll go for drinks after it's done, but then that's it. Like, you're not hanging out ever again. And that's how I felt with Penelope and Colin. Like, why did Daphne and Simon feel like they had a better friends to lovers than Colin? And I know some people say, oh, well, Daphne and Simon, they weren't really friends to lovers, but they kind of were. It was fake dating, friends to lovers. I mean, he even says in his speech, like, but to meet your best friend and the most beautiful woman is something entirely apart. So they do have a basis of friendship in their season. I felt the laughter, I felt the chemistry, I felt the bonding, and I didn't even really like season 1 like that much because of what happens towards the end. I was so excited for Polin. I was so excited and ready because they were just so amazing in the first 2 seasons, and the actors, and then every single scene that they had, I think it just wasn't enough scenes of them together. I think we needed more scenes of them on screen because by the time we got to episode 2, everything just felt rushed in a sense. Obviously, we've seen Penelope's side of the story where she's been in love with him. Obviously, obviously we don't get Colin's perspective, and because he doesn't know himself, we really don't get anything. So when they have these moments, it kind of feels very off. It kind of feels very awkward in a sense. Also, why did they make Colin a thought? Out of everything they could have done with this boy, they really had to go the brothel, the charming women route. They made him a dollar store Anthony season 1. I know people are gonna say, well, that's the point. He was just trying to give in to societal pressure. He was just trying to fit in. I get it, but when you're going to do that, you need to have some redeeming characteristics. For example, Anthony and Simon, they were both raking around the city, and you don't see anyone saying, oh, they were rakes, they're horrible, because they had other personality traits that redeemed them. And we shouldn't have to wait until part 2 to say, oh, it's fine. It's just not enough. They're just making him not that interesting and not likable. And I know we have to wait until part 2, but they should have just released it all at once so we wouldn't even be having this conversation. Because I'm sure if we saw every single episode all at once, we would not even remember that we didn't like the first part. We'd say, oh yeah, start off a bit slow, but then, you know, second half really hit home. But now, because obviously we have time to talk about this, we have a month before the next release happens, we have time to think, you know what, maybe I didn't really like this season as much as I was hoping for. And then you keep talking about it, how much you kind of just don't care. And then by the time part 2 comes out, it's like, oh, okay, I'll watch it. Francesca was absolutely stunning, but I want to know, what's the tea with her? What's her vibe? What's going on? And it was just crazy how they introduced so many new characters, tried to keep the same amount of side characters, and then Polin just had no screen time. I wanted Colin to grovel. I thought this would be the perfect opportunity for this man to be tortured, to be anguished, to just be in shambles out of what he said about Penelope and how she felt afterwards. But no, it was kind of used as a plot point and a plot device in order to get them to do their lessons together, which honestly, why didn't they have more lessons? I thought we were gonna get several lessons, but I think there were only maybe 3, I guess. Let me paint the picture for you. He is anguished, he is tortured, he can't believe he treated Penelope like that. 1, because he is her friend, and 2, he doesn't want to be a bad guy, and so he is in shambles about it, and he says, no, like, let me make it up to you, I'm gonna help you get a husband. And even when she later forgives him and says, oh, I forgive you, don't worry about it, he's still in shambles, he's still tortured over her. And then he has to come to the realization, wait, I am not in shambles because she is simply my friend, I am in shambles because I am in love with her. I mean, maybe we'll get that in part 2. And like, with all the criticisms that I'm giving the show, obviously I'm gonna watch part 2. Obviously I'm not hating on the show. Colin had his hinky-pinky dream about Penelope, but the thing is, now it feels like the only reason he's interested in her is because of the kiss, and it was a good kiss. Not that he truly fell for her as a person and for her soul. I'm sure that's gonna come later, but it just feels like he's just sexually attracted to her now, whereas the emotionally attracted to her too. I enjoy that it was Colin who had the steamy dream. I thought it was Penelope the entire time. I had to go back and rewatch the scene. I said, oh, I like how it was Colin this time. Now we're starting to get into the trope of she fell first, he fell harder. I already talked about my grievances with him. We'll go into other stuff. Dude, all of the scenes of Penelope and Colin pretending like they're not together are so funny, because who are you fooling? Who are you lying to? Like, y'all going under that willow tree, y'all being 5 paces away from each other, you think that that's not gonna look suspicious? I don't know. It's and now he's running for the stupid air balloon. Oh my gosh. Oh, I can't take this seriously. This man, the way he's holding Penelope, what would that have done? He is not protecting her in the slightest. She still would have gotten crushed. Oh my goodness. This is goofy. Goofy. Finally, something interesting is happening. I think we just met Violet Bridgerton's new man, like her future lover, because she was talking about how she wanted her gardens to bloom. And Queen Charlotte, I think we found a good suitor for her. A plotline I didn't know I wanted and didn't know I needed until it came onto my screen was Will and Alice. I could not remember her name for the life of me. I love how we get to see the dynamics of people who grew up in the working class who now are in high society, how that transition is. I like how there are restricted freedoms in high society, because obviously it's kind of alluded to that a lot of people who are in high society, they can't do certain things, they can't be with certain people. But then it's nice to see people who are actually working class actually face these things, because on one hand, you get exposure to all these balls, you get access to them, but then you can't work the job that you've been working for your entire life. It poses the question of, what are you willing to do for your happiness? What are you willing to forsake in order to give your family stability? It explored a different part of Bridgerton that I didn't think we would see, and so I really enjoyed that plot line. I didn't know that they were going to get a whole entire plot line, but I enjoyed it. Speaking of plot lines I loved Penelope and Lord Debling. Okay, call me crazy. It's not that I necessarily wanted them to end up together, but I just loved how we got to see more of Penelope and what she was willing to sacrifice in order to achieve her dreams. What was she willing to put aside in order to maintain her privacy, to maintain her hobbies? Was she willing to sacrifice love? Was she willing to sacrifice Colin? And it was just really interesting to see her say, you know what, I'm gonna be myself. I'm not gonna pretend to like grasp. I'm going to be me. This is real. This is me. I'm so glad that the season is about her. I just wish that her counterpart would carry his weight. I'm sure that it'll happen in part 2. I'm sure. And I just love how proactive Penelope was in her future. She said, you know what, I don't want to live under my mother's roof anymore. I want a future for myself that does not involve her and her cruelty, and so I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get there. And I love that. And even the way she's doing the whole Lady Whistledown thing, I just love what a baddie she is. She is a girl boss 100%, and I love that for her. She is just one of the most interesting characters in the season. I mean, she's the most interesting character of the season. Never know what she's gonna do. Love her because she feels like a very real person. She doesn't feel like a stereotype. She doesn't feel like a generalization. She feels like a person who would actually exist in our world. Overall, with episode 3, I did not like it. This is when I was starting to say, okay, maybe part 1 is not gonna be for me, which is fine. That's okay. And I mean, you can make the argument that some of the other seasons would have been like this if they were also split up. Still a bit hopeful because I knew that obviously it was gonna go out with a bang in episode 4. It's gonna leave us on a cliffhanger, so we'd stay for part 2. By the end of part 1, I'm kind of gonna at least sort of like it a bit. Well, let's see if I was right. By episode 4, I kind of assumed that I was not going to get the Colin redemption arc that I was hoping for. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get that in part 2, but I was just really hoping that by the end of part 1, I'd be kind of at least interested in him, that I'd sort of like him at least. I didn't expect to fall in love with him, but I thought I'd feel at least a little some, a little sprinkle here and there. Even though I was rooting for Francesca to be with a woman, I like her and the guy together. We haven't seen much of them, but the way that she's just smiling and giddy when he entered that room, when he came to call upon her. Yes, Francesca, you deserve happiness. You deserve love. Also, Lady Danbury and Marcus. I love the dynamic. Now we're getting into more interesting characters. But why does Lady Danbury not like her brother? What's the tea with Marcus? You're joking me. There's no way that they're about to just sit here in silence. What? I hate to say this, but I'm way more interested in what's going on with Francesca than Penelope and Colin. It's not Penelope's fault. I don't dislike him. I just don't care about him. Season 2 was already a tough act to follow, right? But now we're in season 3, which honestly, it might be the worst of the seasons for me. But yeah, Francesca, what's the tea, bestie? I want to know how she finds love. If she even wants to find love. Like, who knows what she even wants? I have finished season 3, part 1 of Bridgerton. I liked his speech for 2 seconds when he was in the carriage saying, I prefer sleep because at least I can meet you there. It just felt like their relationship went from 0 to 100. On Penelope's end, I get it because she's always loved him. But from his perspective, it felt like he went from 0 to 100. By the time I started feeling something for Colin, it was in the carriage scene, and I liked the speech that he gave. By the time we get to the carriage scene, the episode is over. Part 1 is over. So that little bit of hope we're saying, oh, finally, I'm interested in Colin, it kind of just died because the episode ended. And if they hadn't split it up, then I still would have kept on with my Colin interest bandwagon, and maybe I would have loved him. I mean, who knows? Maybe by the end of part 2, I will love him. I can't say anything. I don't know for sure. Just looking at part 1 on its own, because they made that choice. Netflix and whoever decided, hey, we're going to split it up into 2 parts. And so people are saying, oh, don't look at it as 2 parts. Well, they did it as 2 parts, so I'm going to look at it as 2 parts. Oh my gosh, Francesca, when the guy wrote her music, that was so adorable because he sees her, and to be loved is to be seen. That was so adorable. I don't know if the next season is going to be about Francesca. I don't know if he's going to even be there, if it even is about her, but I'm glad that we got a little bit of romance in part 1. It felt so cute. I love them together. And Marcus and Lady Violet, I ship it so hard. Yes, I've been waiting for her to find her a man after Queen Charlotte. Like, I'm excited for her to explore her gardens blooming. Get that girl. I don't care about Benedict and the blonde lady. I'm sensing something between Cressida and Eloise, something that is not just platonic, something that is romantic. Showrunners themselves have alluded to saying, yeah, some of the characters are going to be a part of the LGBTQIA plus community. And so I'm thinking, ooh, period. I said Benedict, Eloise, Cressida, even Francesca. I thought maybe she'd fall in that realm, but I don't know, who knows? But there seems to be something going on between Cressida. I don't know if it's going to be one-sided and Eloise is going to reciprocate, or I don't know if it's going to be both of them interested in each other, but then they're driven apart because of society. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't even know if they're going to go down that route, but I was feeling something. Oh, tell me about your thoughts. Okay, Cressida. Colin's marriage proposal felt like it came out of nowhere. It felt like it came out of the blue, and I know some people are saying, oh, it's because he compromised her and he wants to be respectable, which I understand that, and I'm not saying that literally the marriage proposal is coming out of nowhere. I'm saying that I wish that there was more buildup and that there was just more scenes of them together before this marriage proposal, because we really did not have that many scenes of them together in season 3, and so it felt like it came out of nowhere, like their kiss, the marriage proposal, all of that. I just wish that there were way more scenes of them together, and it felt like the show was actually about them and not just all of these other characters. It felt like an ensemble show instead of a show that's about 2 people and everyone else are side characters. Like, I wasn't waiting and hoping and wishing for them to kiss or to get married. When it happened, I was surprised. I said, oh, we're doing that. Okay, interesting. Wish that there was just more buildup and more scenes, not just, you know, in season 1 and season 2. Like, there should be buildup in part 1 of season 3. You know, people are allowed to criticize part 1. I know everyone's saying, just wait till part 2, part 2. You should still be able to like and enjoy part 1 without part 2 if you're gonna split them up into 2 parts. Like, I don't know why people are saying, oh, well, you can't, you just have to wait. Like, I'm still excited for part 2, but I can still say, yeah, I didn't really enjoy part 1 because they decided to do that, okay? They wanted the money grab for us to pay for 2 months of Netflix, and they said, okay, we're gonna split it up into part 2. So yeah, I gave you my money, and I'm gonna give you my money again, so I'm allowed to do a little bit of criticism. I really just felt like there was no chemistry between Penelope and Colin. It was just a lot of heavy breathing, and it was just kind of weird. I just didn't feel it, you know, like I felt in season 1 and season 2. It just felt forced, non-organic, but I'm excited to see Colin get a personality, to make him not boring anymore. Whenever he's there, I kind of just don't care. I want to care about Colin. I want to feel for Colin. I want him to feel like the main character instead of being the side character of the side characters. And I'm sure we're going to get that in part 2. I wish they just gave us a little bit more reason to root for him in part 1 instead of having to wait until part 2. I am so excited to see what goes down with Lady Whistledown. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so exciting. How is Colin going to react? Is Colin going to find out that Eloise knew? And how are they going to bounce back from her being Lady Whistledown? I also want to see him become a writer. I heard that he does become a writer. I'm excited. He's clearly a great writer, so I'm excited to see him explore that avenue. But I need to know how he finds out that she's Lady Whistledown. Is he going to find out about her after they get married? Also, whose season is next? I thought it was going to be Benedict's season, but now I'm thinking maybe it could be Francesca's season. But just imagine Benedict's season, because I heard he falls in love with a maid, like a Cinderella moment, like a masked ball, and then he doesn't realize she's a maid. Because I would love to see the societal ramifications of him falling in love with a maid. How far are you willing to go for love? How far are you willing to go for those you care about? It would just be so fascinating to see. I would love to see that story, but obviously I'm here for any story. You know what I'd love to see too? A Queen Charlotte-esque version of Violet and Edmund. I mean, I guess it's gonna be a little odd now because now she has a new lover, but that would have been so interesting to see her and Edmund fall in love, especially because they childhood friends to lovers. Well, would that not have been so adorable? I hope part 2 genuinely focuses on Polin and Colin as a character. I just need to see more Polin on my screen. Hopefully I feel more chemistry between Penelope and Colin. I'm not really feeling it at all. I would have loved to see more flashbacks of them as kids. That would have been so adorable. Seeing them as kids just running around, doing this, doing that. But to see them grow up together, just and maybe we'll get that in part 2. That'd be super nice. That'd be awesome. So yeah, those are my thoughts about Bridgerton. Let me know down below, what did you think about season 3 of Bridgerton? I'm still excited for part 2. Like, I want to know what happens. I'll still watch it. I'll still support Bridgerton. I was just disappointed by this season, especially because they split it into 2 parts. I know for a fact if they just did not split it into 2 parts, it would not be receiving as much criticism as it's receiving right now. But let me know down below, what do you think? What are you excited for in part 2? Let me know, and thank you so much for watching.